regard to the executive order that was announced a few days ago affecting the travel ban. And so President Vargas was just going to talk a little bit about a letter that he sent out this afternoon to the campus community, and then he would take some questions from you. So.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. Yes, we have this afternoon sent a letter to the campus community, actually to the whole university, because we have 3 other campuses, Saxton, Malden, and Kennett. But I believe you are going to be given a copy of that letter, have you? Yes, okay.
I have that. I'm going to hand that out.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll be given a copy of that letter. Clearly, basically in the letter, I indicate that we are concerned about the students and the fact that what is happening with the executive order has created some anxiety in them. And with me being actually an immigrant in this country and starting here as an international student many years ago, I think I have a sense of the kind of concerns that they have and the anxiety that they have. So we wanted to reassure the students that we were going to be doing our best to work with them and try to answer questions and help them understand as much as we can the latitude that they have in doing, taking action or making sure that they abide by the law in the present circumstances. So I don't want to actually say too much more. Perhaps what we can do is open for you to ask any questions that you may have. Sure, go ahead.
How, if at all, does the visa hold effect any student?
Could you repeat the question?
How, if at all, does this visa hold affect any student at Southeast Missouri State?
Well, the students, I mean, of course, it doesn't affect any of the domestic students. The students that may potentially be affected are the ones that are coming from these countries that were identified in the executive order. There's been, and you may have heard this, but there's been some concern or some kind of confusion with respect to how to deal with those students that have a permanent residence in the United States. I believe in the last news that I heard, the federal government indicated that the persons with a permanent residency or what they call the green card were going to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. But the ban at this point is affecting only those individuals that come from these countries. So we have a number of students from some of those countries, and we're right now trying to round them up. We actually have had conversations with a number of them. They're concerned, but they didn't have many more questions to us. We are in contact with them, and we're going to be offering them as much advice and guidance and support as we can.
How many students do you have here at Southeast that are from those countries?
We have 5 or 6 that have been identified. We continue to work on that to make sure that we have the accurate number. It may be up to about maybe 12 or 13 or so. That's the number that we.
The estimate is around somewhere between.
Maybe 12, 13 or so students. Yes.
Dr. Vargas, how do you expect this to impact the future of international students coming to Southeast, or in general America, as far as international students coming in?
Well, it's difficult for me to speculate about that. I think that we all agree that this is really the very beginning of this process. I'm not really sure what the federal government how it's going to be evolving, how it's going to be changing. There is quite a bit of conversation going on at this point. So it's difficult. I mean, clearly there's, judging by the way some of the students here are reacting, there's some degree of concern among them. I do hope that this is not going to result in students in general feeling that they prefer to go to another place. I mean, many other countries have become very aggressive in recruiting students from other countries, and so I think over the last few years, overall at the national level, there's been a loss of international students coming to the U.S. In some countries, I'll mention maybe Australia, Canada, and others have become very aggressive seeking enrollment from students that would have normally come here. So I'm not really sure what the long-term implications of this may be. Hopefully not negative.
Did you talk to some of the students already that are from those countries? What were some of their thoughts and concerns?
I personally have not talked to them. I am going to be doing that. This has been very early on, so I'm going to be talking to them personally. But what I have heard is that although there's concern on their part, there are really not many questions that they have at this point. So they're trying to also find out what this all means. And but we will be having close conversations with them. And as I said, I personally will be meeting with them. There are not that many. So I think I want to make sure that I understand the circumstances of each one of them and try to help as much as possible.
Dr. Vargas, also, SEMO has a lot of study abroad programs.
I'm sorry?
Study abroad programs?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Have any of these countries ever been a part of those that you know of, or currently?
I don't believe we have any programs, study abroad programs to any of those countries at this point, no.
What about faculty that might come from any of these countries?
Yeah, we have not identified any faculty that are coming from any of these countries that would be in a situation like this at this point. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What safeguards does the university have in place to vet any international students who would be coming in, just in general, not necessarily from these countries?
Right. Well, we have a process where the application that they submit is evaluated, mm-hmm. and we confirm the validity of the documentation that they have. We rely on agencies that actually validate some of these documents before we make an admission. And at times we have contact with individuals who are familiar with those students themselves. So very often the student that applies to the university is somebody that has had some interaction with somebody that we know. We do have recruitment individuals. They recruit and they go and travel. As a matter of fact, the director of the office right now is in India, mm-hmm. as we speak, and making sure that we have contact with individuals there that can help us identify students or help them identify us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Has the university been in contact with any of the Muslim student associations here on campus to kind of see what they're doing to address some of these concerns?
With the Muslim students, I have not personally done that. Our Office of Student Life normally works with them, and we have not received or heard of any concerns at this point that we are aware of. However, we've had conversations we have invited students, international students, to meetings. Dr. Bilo, who is the Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Success, has personally met with them. And we've tried to answer questions and help them, reassure them that we are, of course, trying to make sure that their stay here goes without problems as much as we can. Yes.
So as of now, you don't see this affecting the university besides just the handful of students that are from those countries?
I think everybody is affected to some degree, to be honest. I think the community is concerned. I think many people in the U.S. actually right now are trying to grapple with what's happening and how quickly this is developing. I think individuals specifically affected by this are not too many, as you indicated, and as I mentioned before. But I think that there's a general feeling of uneasiness about what's happening. So what we are trying to do is try to help the community recognize that this is something that we are here to try to help them with and support them with, and try to make sure that they continue to focus their efforts on their studies at this point, and let some of these early developments move on and pass and see until we have a more clear picture of where things are going. I think we need to continue to operate as normally as possible. I mean, this region, the city of Cape, has been the community has been extremely welcoming of students, international students. There are many individuals in the community that at a personal level interact with the students and have a great relationship with them. There's a very sizable number of individuals that really work with the students and enjoy being with them, and invite them to their homes. And I mean, there's a lot of really close relationships that have been generated. So I think that that kind of relationship will be very helpful in helping those students deal with this situation at this point.
Anybody have anything else?
Well, I was going to ask about the 2012 incident where there was a former Southeast student who was arrested for attempting a terroristic threat, who was not from one of these countries that is included in the ban.
Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe comment a little bit about that, maybe what the university learned from that incident?
Honestly, I was not around in 2012. I came here in 2015, so I do know, I believe the student might have been from Bangladesh.
Mm-hmm.
I think we collaborated with the investigations that were done as much as we could, and nothing else happened after that. So there's really little I can say about that.
Anybody else have anything?
And there are currently 992 international students, correct, at the university?
Right now, actually, the number is more like 883, I believe, international students. That's as of the spring of this spring in particular, yes.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your interest in